Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I am a collector. I have a lot of films. I collected a lot of DVDs. A while ago, I did a bit of a cull, and because just for space, like I literally have thousands. Um, and I realized there's a lot of movies that I hadn't watched that I meant to watch. So I've sort of been putting together little marathons. And I'm sort of doing a little bit of a Black History Month week sort of thing in the nature of the current climate. Um, and last night I just watched 12 Years a Slave, which I had not seen, and Roots. I wanted to watch the original Roots and Roots, the next generations. Unfortunately, I discovered I don't actually have the original. I just had the remake from 2016. So last night I watched 12 Years a Slave and then that. Last night I watched Amistad. I was planning to do 12 Years a Slave as well, but Amistad was a bit too much. So I put that over to today. So I just watched that, and I was thinking, okay, what other films do I have that I need to watch? I'm trying to go chronologically when films, the periods that they are based in, and I was thinking, do I watch Gone with the Wind? And I was thinking, well, I've seen it a million times. I've seen it in the cinema many times, including the 60th anniversary, which they made a big hoopla about because they had a new print. The 80th anniversary, unfortunately, didn't get quite as much attention. They did the screening at the same cinema, but they didn't have any memorabilia or anything. I got the soundtrack and a whole bunch of lobby cards and a whole bunch of things when I went there. It was great. They even had Olivia de Havilland phoned in, or was it one of the actresses actually phoned in? This is 20 years ago. Phoned in an interview and everything, and introduced the film. It was great. Because it's a great film. It's a classic. Now, two things happened today. I saw that Cops had been cancelled by Paramount, and I'm not surprised in the current climate. And also, I always was kind of offended by that show because it was always poor white people and people of colour. They never showed any other crime, like, in nice areas, or, people, white collar crime, blue collar crime, whatever collars other than coloured ones. Well, blue's a colour. You know what I mean? Uh, so I'm not surprised that went. I'm kind of happy because I always found that they were just focusing on, they were just reinforcing stereotypes, and I was always like a fan of, like, why are they going after that person? Why is it always that person? And then they're always guilty. But how many people did they go after for the same racial profiling reasons? And that didn't make the show because they didn't actually do anything. So I stopped watching the show years ago. I haven't seen it on TV for years, so I was okay with that. But then I heard the news that the writer of 12 Years a Slave, John Ridley, actually put in an op-ed asking for HBO Max, which just started up 2 weeks ago, to remove Gone with the Wind. Now, when I first saw that, and I saw it through Matt Jarvo's Free Buck Theater, which I said I wasn't going to watch for a while because I was offended by his defense of Robert Meyer Burnett and his shoot to kill Twitter, blah blah blah, and his cancellation. He wasn't really cancelled, but he played the victim of being cancelled when he wasn't. He's still there doing videos and doing all these. He's using it to actually get popularity and get attention. Oh, look, I'm a victim, and here are all my letters of support, blah blah blah. I'm not watching him for a while. It's hard because when people cover the topics you like and they do it really well, it's hard not to watch the videos. Like I had to watch Monday Matt Jarvo today because he was the only person doing a video on this, and I wasn't sure if it was actually happening. So it took a long time to get to it, but they should not cancel Gone with the Wind. Number one, because of Hattie McDonald's performance. Not having that like available to be seen would be a crime. Now I understand there are problems with the film, both the representation within the film of what happened in the South, in the Civil War, and some of the things that came from the time it was made 80 years ago in 1939. It hasn't aged well. It has aged really well, but it's a product of its time, And that's something that you need to take account of. And that's something that wasn't mentioned in the video I saw about it, but in the article, and an article I saw from HBO as well, basically what John was asking for is this needs to be pulled for now and put back in context. It needs a disclaimer and so forth. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with disclaimers. Roots has a disclaimer. Because, and one of the things I found disturbing about Roots was that I couldn't, like I said, I didn't have the original. I thought I had the original. I had the sequel, but not the original. So I couldn't watch it. And I thought, well, I'll just stream it. I'll pay somebody. I don't care who I have to pay, whatever. Maybe I'll get a free subscription for a month and I'll just be able to watch that because it'll probably be the only thing on that. And I couldn't find it on a platform anywhere. It wasn't on Stan. It wasn't on Foxtel. It wasn't on Netflix. It wasn't on Amazon Prime. It's on Hulu in America, but I can't get that here. So I couldn't watch it. So I had to watch the remake. And there's nothing wrong with the remake. I just wanted to watch the remake after the original. And I saw the original when I was a kid, but I don't remember much about it. I'm glad they didn't try and recreate LeVar Burton's the scene where he's captured. And I discovered something I didn't know, that the African people actually sold some of their own people because they had slavery in their own race to foreign slavers. I found that really shocking. I always assumed, I'd always seen the video of LeVar's performance of being captured. I always assumed it was white people capturing him because that's the way I remember it when I was a kid. So it was great. It was exhausting. 6 hours and 10 minutes, and it's traumatizing, all the things that happen to these people that you obviously care about as you go through. And we never see Kunta Kinte again. Can you just give us, can you just show us what happened to him? And I get part of the African American experience of slavery was they were separated from their family and they just never saw them again. But in the narrative, structure of a miniseries like that, we could have seen what happened to them and still followed what happened to his daughter and his ancestors. So I was very upset about that. I don't know if the original just dropped LeVar at some point, his character. Or actually, no, sorry, he was the young Kunta Kinte, the older. There was another actor playing the older character, but you know what I mean. So no, we shouldn't drop this movie. We shouldn't ban this movie. It is art, and it is a product of its time, and it should be viewed within the context of when it was made. Same with Song of the South. A lot of people, they've banned that, and Whoopi Goldberg has said, no, this needs to be brought back for two reasons. One, black people watched it, and it's a part of our experience, and we want to be able to still watch it, but we also need it to be seen for its racism, because by banning it and by removing it and hiding it, you're basically hiding history and hiding something that happened that we need to see. We just need to see it in context. So he didn't just ask for it to be banned, as Matt was making out. He asked for it to be removed and put back in context with discussion of the subject, because it is a classic. It's one of the greatest films ever made. It is the most successful film ever made, if you do the inflation and everything. So I'm glad that they're not calling for it to be outright cancelled, because I think some people have called for that in the past. They're asking for it to be viewed in context with respect to the film and its art and the creators, and also the filmmakers at the time and the history behind it, because romanticizing the Civil War is a bit scary when you consider what it was about. And I need to watch the film again and view it with a more critical eye, because like I said, the last time I really remember watching it was 20 years ago. But I know I watched it when I got it on DVD, which was more recently. And I bought it on Blu-ray. I didn't have time to watch it. I was buying DVDs every week and not having the time to watch them. I literally had thousands, and I still have so many I haven't watched. And I will get to it again. But and there's an awesome special edition with a book on the costume design and everything. And God, I wish I'd bought that. I got to hunt that on eBay. But off topic. So yes, there was talk of it being banned, but it's not being banned. It's not being censored. It's being contextualized, and that's fine. But we don't want to ban it, especially since Hattie McDonald won the Oscar, and she was the only first black person and the only black person for decades to have an Oscar because of that performance. She was that character was the smartest. There's a lot of subversive stuff in that film which people dismiss, that the people who were writing the film were trying to say about the era, in an era where they couldn't really talk about racism. And that should be acknowledged and seen as well. So, and her performance is great. She's the smartest person in that film. And I don't know, it's a toss-up between who the best characters are in that film. Her, Scarlett, or Rhett. Rhett I care less about. Scarlett, oh my God, Scarlett O'Hara. You know, she's Scarlett O'Hara. I've got the Scarlett O'Hara Barbie doll. Yeah, it's the one behind me in the green. Oh my God, I should pull her out. Should I? No, calm down. Okay, so was happy today to hear Cops was gone. Was terrified to think that Gone with the Wind might be gone. Glad to hear it's just been contextualized. That's fine. But that's what we need to do. So this is more of a general video about that. We need to keep art needs to be maintained, needs to be respected, but it needs to be shown in context. And we cannot allow it to continue to promote whatever racism or ignorance it was made in or portrays, or like, and there's so many examples of it. Like, a few people when Discovery came out were trying to trash the original Star Trek, and one thing they were saying was that the miniskirts were sexist. These people were ignorant of the fact that, and there's a lot of ignorance around art, that this was an expression of female liberation because women wanted to wear short skirts. They weren't allowed to for a long time, and the actual design was in part designed, and Grace Lee Whitney, basically, I think she suggested miniskirts, and she was part of that. So it was something that women wanted. It wasn't something that was done to them. And there are women on the crew here and there actually wear pants, and I'm fairly sure, so there's so many examples like that. People trying to trash that, saying, you know, Lieutenant Uhura didn't do much, but the point that she was just there as part of the crew and nobody cared was the point. And that people miss that because she wasn't featured as much as she should have been and was planned to be. She was planned to be more. The crew was supposed to be more of an ensemble, and all the characters should have gotten more screen time, and they did in the early episodes. But eventually, it just became about Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and the other characters took a backseat. And it wasn't because of their race necessarily, although there apparently were a few producers and people who were a bit uncomfortable with that, and Gene had to fight them. But there's a famous story of someone saying there needed to be a change of colour on the bridge, meaning Nichelle. So Jean changed her uniform from yellow, which it was in the beginning, to red. Little things like that. But I'm getting totally sidetracked. The point is, Star Trek, the original series, Gone with the Wind, Song of the South, all these things, whether progressive or not, are a product of their time, but they need to be maintained and respected, but contextualized if there are issues with them. And that, of course, should be updated as we evolve. But we don't hide or destroy art, because it has its own merit, and it also reflects the times. And you just hurt your own cause by removing the examples in case of the bad examples. So I'm just going to go. I wasn't planning to talk this long, but there were a lot of things. Like, this could have been 3 different videos, but I'm going to go because I've got to work out. I'm so tired. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm just glad. I got so scared when I thought it was going to be like gone, just cancelled. There's talk of everyone cancelling Hollywood and so forth, and a lot of drama at the moment in the world, and I'm just glad Gone with the Wind will survive for both reasons. It's art, and you know the time needs to be seen, for good and bad reasons. I'm gonna go. Thanks. Bye.